Ex-Ukrainian defense minister Umerov allegedly is refusing to return to Ukraine. A number of sources are reporting now about it. Umerov, according to some reports, by the way, he is collaborating. He's in US now, his family in US, and he's collaborating with the FBI in its investigation of corruption on Kiev-controlled territory. And so even though Zelensky's associates were quick to state that Umerov will go back to Ukraine for 20th of November, probably he will not. But even if he will go back to Ukraine, most likely he already has signed cooperation agreement with the FBI, so he will be protected by FBI, right? And yet again, there are many speculations in media, including alternative media. What should expect after this corruption scandal that is taking place in regards to Zelensky's regime and his inner circle? There are different opinions, but my take, I'll be focused on my personal take. My take is that West is pushing pressure with this corruption scandal. West is putting pressure on Zelensky to begin forcefully mobilizing young generation people to somehow deal with the tremendous lack of manpower that Kiev regime's forces are experiencing now. And if Zelensky agrees, if Zelensky and his inner circle agrees, and in next several weeks, legislation will be adopted to begin forcefully mobilizing teenagers from 18, let's say, and then younger generation up to 25. In that case, for time being, corruption of Zelensky's regime will be forgotten by the Western elites for a little while, not for years, but for a little while. They will forget about corruption there. But if Zelensky will refuse to begin forcefully mobilizing young generation, in that case, West will take him out. And the process will be very rapid. If Zelensky refuses to begin sending messages already, right now, that he gonna adopt legislation to start mobilizing young and intensify forceful mobilization in general, and if West would not see steps in this direction in next several days, maximum several weeks, they're gonna take out Zelensky. They might force him out. They might allow him to flee for Israel, and they might not even allow him to flee to Israel, right? They might literally kill him and then blame that on Russia. So that's what is happening. It's all about manpower, by the way. West does not care about corruption on Kiev-controlled territory. They know perfectly well where each penny went, right? People are forgetting that U.S. Finance Ministry, by the way, is like special secret service on its own. And they are tracking practically all transactions in this world. Definitely, they are tracking all the transactions that are related to the Western world. So they know perfectly well about billions and billions and billions that were stolen by Zelensky and his associates. They know perfectly well about tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that went back to the West into pockets of corrupt Western officials. They know everything, right? So it's not going to be any big issue for them to take down, for the West, by the way, to take down Zelensky if he refuses to begin mobilizing young generation on a Kiev-controlled territory and intensifying this forceful mobilization in general, grabbing literally everybody they can, right, to somehow prolong this proxy war against Russia. And I tell you, dear friends, I have spoke about it quite a few times before in my updates, that Westerners are preparing to get engaged in a war with Russia for 2028, 2029, 2030 would be the target that they have, ideally, right? There is too many indicators of that, and all they want right now, Western elites, is to keep this war going, keep this proxy war going to the point when they will think that they are ready now to directly openly engaged with Russia. And that date is 2029, 2030, right? So therefore, they're gonna push Zelensky or whomever are gonna be there to sacrifice more and more people. Absolutely. Let's see what is going to be decision on part of Zelensky. But if he refuses, he's finished literally in a week's time. Zelensky may be ousted even before end of this year, by the way. Let's see. Omerov is cooperating, and more and more information already are coming up as additional pressure on Zelensky and his inner circle. More and more information is coming out about levels of involvement of Zelensky personally and his inner circle in that 100 million scandal related to energy sector of the Kiev regime, right? And NABU, Western-controlled or US-controlled anti-corruption bureau in Ukraine already made an announcement that they're gonna go into defense ministry also. So, and defense ministry is like we are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, right? So if NABU went into defense ministry, that will be end of Zelensky for sure, because it's just unbelievable volumes of money that was stolen there. It's not gonna be millions or hundreds of millions. It's gonna be billions, right? And as I said, pressure is increasing on Zelensky to make up his mind as soon as possible and begun basically forceful mobilization. And therefore, we are receiving reports that Alibaba, tapes were released in Kiev with the conversation of these corrupt elements, Mindich and rest. And Mindich is, of course, around for Israel, and he is a wallet of Zelensky. So there were a number of tapes released, and those criminals were talking in code, right? And several times Alibaba was mentioned, such a nickname. And now more information is released about that Alibaba is Zelensky's girlfriend. And this is not a speculation, by the way. Zelensky is a LGBTQ personality, right? As Yermak is, according to many, many reports. And Yermak is kind of Zelensky's girlfriend or something, right? I don't know how LGBTQ people see each other. Right? I'm not freaking psychiatrist or something, but yes, Alibaba is Yermak, head of Zelensky's office, and he was identified as such. And that means that if Zelensky will not agree on forceful mobilization immediately, in days, literally, right? Forced mobilization of young, then West will take down his girlfriend, Andrei Yermak. So keep in mind that soon Yermak gonna be either arrested or he gonna freaking flee Ukraine. Maybe for Israel also, right? All criminals are fleeing for Israel. Israel is a magnet for all sorts of scum of humanity. Right? So this is also something to keep in mind. RT is reporting, meanwhile, that Ukraine needs to purchase 100 French jets. Zelensky is on damage control trip, sort of. He went to Greece yesterday, or day before yesterday, sorry. Yesterday he was in France, and he and Macron signed some paper about intentions that they have, and based on those paper, France is promising Zelensky's regime fighter jets that non-existent, right? And Zelensky is buying these planes with money that he does not have. So freaking circus is going on there, by the way. Freaking circus, right? But yet again, as I said, by the way, globalists have not, and Western elites in general, have not yet made final decision to remove Zelensky. Yes, he will be removed, but they want to use him as much as possible so that all the blame for everything will go for Zelensky, and his replacement will feel little less under pressure. All the negativity have to be directed towards Zelensky, right? Including forceful mobilization of teenagers, young generation, people from 18 to 25. And so if Zelensky decides that, yes, he is going to begin mobilizing those young people, he might stay in office for another several months, maybe even before end of this year, who knows, right? But eventually he's going to be removed, and reports are that there is active discussion between London and Washington about replacement of Zelensky. London traditionally pushing for Zelensky, but Washington is against it. There are more and more reports, including from people that are familiar with developments, that Washington is strongly opposing figures that London is in support of. For example, Washington is against Zelensky. Washington is against Budanov. Zelensky is, of course, former head of general staff of Kiev regime. Budanov is a current head of main intelligence directorate. Mass murderers, by the way. And there are some other names that been mentioned, including head of Azov, neo-Nazi formations, right, that London is in active support of, and Washington is opposing all of them. Washington wants its own candidate to replace Zelensky, right? So these discussions probably will continue for a time being, but they don't really have much time left, because decision at one point they have to come up with consolidated decision, Washington and London. But meanwhile, this circus is taking place in Europe when Ukraine being promised weapons that are non-existent, and Zelensky's regime is promising to pay for this non-existent weapon with money that they don't have. How insane is that? You cannot make this shit up, man, right? It's just freaking like next level of madness. Hello everyone, I hope you find informative and useful this short clip from main news update, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. It might help to deal with the algorithm and reach wider audience. And if you like my work in general and want to support to save this media project, you can assist through several ways. You can donate to this project through PayPal platform or Boosty, also with the crypto currencies, or you can subscribe to my Patreon page and page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on regular basis. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everyone who already helped and continues to support. Thank you.